Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? Paid request, this time for Alban. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, whatever, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Alban wanted me to talk about what would be my top 15 favorite films of 1981. And let's go to number one. Let's do a bit different. Usually people go backwards. Let's go forwards. I looked at the list, and easily my favorite's got to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. I am a big Indiana Jones fan. That's why I'm not looking forward, sadly, to the new one for a number of reasons. Whether the rumors are true or not, where it was time travel and Indiana Jones goes back and sees his younger self, and then the older self is gone and disappears because they stop some events from happening, and then while the younger one is still there, then the non-Phoebe Cates, which she was Phoebe Cates, Phoebe Bridger, whatever the hell her name is, lives on and becomes Indiana Jones. They might have changed that because they knew how much dumb it was, but the fact is, I would not bet if they had that intention at some point. And for all I know, they still do. But even if it's not in the movie now, that could have been their intention. And people shit on Tino Crystal Skull so damn much, which I think that's an underrated film. I think that's a fun popcorn movie. I don't think Tino the Crystal Skull is as bad as people make it out to be. I love all four Indiana Jones. To me, there's only four. The new one looks like shit. Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite, though, of all of them. And I really enjoy all four of them, but Raiders of the Lost Ark, I just felt the most of the adventure in that. With the classic opening and the boulder rushing at Indy and Belloc and the truck chase and loving Karen Allen, such a sweetheart as Marion. Big fan of Karen Allen and Starman and this movie and others. And Scrooged with Bill Murray. The music by John Williams is fantastic. One of my favorite scores from John Williams. As I liked Star Wars, but I was more of an Indiana Jones fan, to be honest, growing up. And I watched these films much more than Star Wars. So it's always been my favorite Harrison Ford performance. Tom Selleck, I think he was up for it, and he could have done it, but the people from NMPI said no. You don't do the show. But then the show was delayed. It was delayed so long that Tom Selleck could have done both. If it wasn't for the asshole producers, Tom Selleck could have done both. He could have done Raiders of the Lost Ark, it would have been finished, and then boom, time to do Man and PI. Man, I think Tom Selleck's career would have been very different. I really do. And I love Tom Selleck. I think he would have done a great job as Indy, but Harrison Ford, I think he worked out very well too. And maybe it just worked out for the best because Harrison Ford became Indiana Jones. Trust me. Just a lot of great scenes. The swordsman, he just shoots the guy. Just in reality, there was supposed to be this big fight scene, but Harrison Ford was sick, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I got a gun. Why don't I just shoot the guy?" Okay, shoot the guy. Again, just love the adventure, love the supporting characters, Marcus Brody or Sala. Like a lot of just a great adventure that as a kid you get invested in. Despite the danger, part of you wanted to be on that adventure as well with Indy or as Indiana Jones. Love it, so it had to be number one. Number two, I put Stripes, because Stripes I think is I will put in my top 10 favorite comedies. I love Stripes. I have a friend who was in the military, and he says Stripes is a lot more real than you would think. And Bill Murray did a wonderful job. Harold Ramis, may he rest in peace. He worked extremely well with Bill Murray. Warren Oates, may he rest in peace. As Sergeant Hulka, he was a great intimidating force. A lot of John Candy, of course, greatly missed. Loved him in the film. A lot of very funny bits from the beginning of all the stuff going on with him being a cab driver and we like to eat your luggage. Throwing the basketball for the window. Give it here. It goes through the other window. Thank you. A lot of people have issues with the ending because it becomes a bit more of an action movie. It didn't bother me. It was fun for what it is. And I'm not looking into a film like Stripes for to be realistic, but it was entertaining. And that and Ghostbusters are my favorite Bill Murray films. Just Stripes I find very hilarious. And it's interesting that the original idea was going to be Cheech and Chong in the army. But then Cheech and Chong, wanted more control, and Ivan Reitman said, well, it's my movie, so here's this guy I worked with on Meatballs and such, Bill Murray, got him to be the star of Stripes. Which I have the 4K of it over here, actually, and I'm trying to remember where I put it, though. I do have it here, though, and now I'm searching for it, wasting time. And, yeah, it's over here. I can't remember where I put it. I might have put it over there. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, I see it. And on the 4K, there is an interview with Bill Murray and Ivan Reitman, like a new interview. So, interesting that Bill Murray now is more open to talking about movies and not back then. Oh, now you want to praise Harold Ramis. You couldn't do it when he was fucking alive, but now you do it after he's dead. Bill Murray is an asshole in real life. He's, to me, one of the funniest performers of the 80s. One of my top 5 favorite comedians of all time in terms of being in films. Because he never did stand-up, but, being in films, top 5 favorite. Easily. But I think he's a piece of trash of a human being. And he's all the stories I hear is just a fucking egocentric dickhead. Treating people like Richard Dreyfuss, treated him like shit on What About Bob, treated people on Charlie's Angels like shit, making one of them cry, Lucy Liu, treated Harold Ramis like shit, and for all intents and purposes, it seems like it was more Bill Murray's fault than Harold Ramis' fault on Groundhog Day. Not talking to him, still doesn't talk to like Harold Ramis' daughter. Like, hey dude, you ignored my dad for decades. Now you want to say this shit? Now you want to be in Ghostbusters movies? Now you want to fucking do interviews for Stripes? Bit too little too late, Bill. But, that's just my thoughts on it. But I still really enjoy Stripes as a movie. Number 3, The Evil Dead. Because some say 83, but others say that was 1981. So if that's the case, I put The Evil Dead on there. Because I love his creativity on a low budget. Funny enough, the Evil Dead films I saw backwards. When I was a kid, I saw Army of Darkness. And I did not know Army of Darkness was a sequel. I thought Army of Darkness was just a standalone movie. I never knew there were 2 previous films before it. It wasn't until years and years later I read a magazine, and might be over there actually, and I'm like, wait a minute, that guy looks like the Army of Darkness guy. Wait, he's got a chainsaw on that too? I remember he had a wait, there's a prequel? Wait, there's 2 movies before this? And then I saw Evil Dead 2, which became my favorite, and then I saw The Evil Dead. And The Evil Dead, I love the camera work, I love the creativity, especially the third act. The third act alone made me fall in love with the film. Because of Ash being by himself in that cabin, all the different crazy, unique camera tricks, camera angles, push really close but tilted the camera, the light bulb filling up with blood, which was their horror ode to the Three Stooges. Because there's a Three Stooges short, A Plumbing We Will Go, where the water was going all crazy in this house through the wall sockets, the light bulbs. Why do we do that? But with blood, hence the Evil Dead. the projector bleeding and uh, all sorts of stuff, blood, stop motion animation, ass shooting creatures with shotguns, the Deadites. I love the whole finale of that movie. I thought the music worked well. I even liked that old timey. Yes, some of the acting is not the best, although I do like Bruce Campbell in it. But some of the other acting, sometimes a bit, Some of the film seems a bit rough. Like if you go into that part, you see a little bit of string, or you see a little bit of the. Was it maybe that was Evil Dead 2? I'm thinking of. Like you tell that what's the real person makeup and what's just a puppet, and or they chop it up to pieces, and you see the arms raised up, but then when it cuts away, the arms are cut off in a way that it wouldn't. There's little mistakes here and there because it's such a low budget, rough shoot, but the energy and creativity and how bloody it is really made that film work, and then some. Like people say they can't do anything with low budget. The Evil Dead showed you could do stuff with a low budget. If you have enough energy and creativity, you can make a film like that work. And The Evil Dead does. And I don't give a fuck about Evil Dead Rise, the new one coming out. These two ladies in a high-rise building. Good. Then talk about how sexist men are too. I don't know. I have to think that will happen because they do it so many fucking times in other stuff. Even fucking James Cameron came out and said, testosterone in men is a toxin. Yeah, Jimmy Tammy, I'm sorry that Linda Hamilton cut your balls off in the divorce. Ain't my fault. But anyway, Evil Dead number 3. Number 4, Outland. My favorite Sean Connery film. Pretty much you take the Western High Noon, but you put it in outer space. Directed by Peter Hyams, who did 2010, The Year We Made Contact. He did later on Stay Tuned with John Ritter, End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Relic. Easily in my favorite of directors list. I don't know if he'd be top 5, but easily in top 10 favorite directors. Very underrated director too. Like no one ever talks about Peter Hyams, but Time Cop, and he has a lot of good work in his filmography. And Outland, I really do enjoy. I thought Sean Connery did a great job as this guy who's a marshal on one of the the moons of Jupiter, and their workers are drilling, and there's this rash of people who commit suicide, and you're wondering what's going on, and you realize there's some drug being put into there, and there shouldn't be a drug there, and there's a drug operation, and he's trying to stop it, so people hire hitmen to go after him, and no one wants to help him. His own men don't want to help him, so now it's him, kind of like a Western, but in space. Him versus these guys. And the whole aesthetic look of the film feels like it would take place in the same universe as Alien. That kind of dirty, rundown look. And I think even Jerry Goldsmith did the music. Speaking of Alien. But I love Outland. Outland, if you like sci-fi with a little bit of action, it's not, The Rock, that type of Sean Connery action, but there's a bit of here and there. But if you like Sean Connery and you like sci-fi, Outland is easily worth a look. Number 5 is Steve from New York. You got Kurt Russell with State Plissken. There's another one of those where I did not know this film existed. I saw Steve from LA first, and I did not know there was a sequel when I was a kid. I thought, okay, Steve from LA, Kurt Russell. I remember Kurt from Tango and Cash. And other stuff. Because by that point, I had not even seen The Thing. Like I said, I saw Tango and Cash. Oh, it's the guy with Stallone. And I liked Steve from LA. It doesn't hold up the best, and I will say, nowadays, I do like Steve from New York more. because in a weird way, the whole look of the film as Steve from New York looks a bit better. Because Steve from LA Sally used a lot of CGI that's very dated. But I still have fun with Steve from LA. I still liked it. But Steve from New York, the tone of the film, the look of the film, the 80s aesthetic, the villain of Yafakoto. Yafakoto, my god. I'm thinking of Alien. I got Alien on the brain. I keep thinking of Alien because I was talking about Outland and Jerry Goldsmith. Isaac Hayes. God. No, not all black men look alike. Isaac Hayes as the villain. And you got Harry Dean Stanton, and you got Adrian Barbeau, you got Ernest Borgnine, Lee Van Cleef. You have a really good cast. Wonderful score by John Carpenter. I do remember, as stupid as this sounds, when I first saw it, I was bummed that the cover was not on the movie. Meaning, if you remember the cover, it was the head of the Statue of Liberty. I thought, man, the finale is going to be this big action scene amongst the head of the Statue of Liberty. I was waiting for that. It never happens. I was disappointed in it. As stupid as that sounds. Which, I mean, that was a common thing for a lot of covers and posters to do. But I do wish they had done that. And I should have known that at the beginning of the film. Oh, there's a Statue of Liberty in his head. I guess maybe as a kid. I don't know when I saw it, but... Because Steve from LA I saw as a kid. I guess stupidly I thought that maybe sometime during the film... The head of the Statue of Liberty would get blown off and fall, or something. I know that sounds it's stupid when I think about it beforehand, but Steve from New York is a damn good movie. Call me Snake. And Donald Pleasance is a lot of fun. You're the Duke. You're the Duke. Sure ain't number one. That's number 5. Number 6, My Bloody Valentine, which I do have the Blu-ray. I do think Scream Factory did a great job in cleaning up the unrated footage. So to have a full unrated cut of My Bloody Valentine is very nice. It is one of my favorite slasher films. It's up there with April Fool's Day as my favorite slasher films of the 80s. I think because, like, the acting, they do what they need to do and they're fine. I don't mind the love triangle story. But I love the atmosphere. I love the mine setting. I thought that was a perfect setting. I love the miner suit. I remember seeing that VHS cover as a kid and being scared of it. So I didn't see this film as a kid. Because the VHS cover was pretty creepy. But then I saw it much later in life. And despite the edited version, I did like it because of enjoying the atmosphere and the mood and the tone. And like I said, I like the look of the killer and the use of weapon of the pickaxe. The ending, there's a little bit of action with the back and forth fight. One of those few slasher films in the 80s where you have a guy as a final... like a guy fighting the killer, because usually it's typical that the lady would fight the killer, or is the lady by herself, or so as a guy it was nice to relate to. Oh yeah, here's another guy and he's fighting the killer and they're going back and forth on this mine cart. Yeah, get him. But I enjoy the song at the end, the Ballad of Harry Warden. Oh, so they say on the Valentine's Day is a curse that will live on, and soon you will know, as the years come and go, of the horror of a long time ago. I thought that was very catchy. I think a lot of My Bloody Valentine worked, and then when the uncut version, which I had heard that there was stuff cut out, but never thought it would see the light of day, but thankfully it did, and that was around the time the remake came out. I'm like, wow, this is even better now. And I don't mind the remake, but I do think the original is better. The sad thing about that in retrospect is that film never got a good documentary. And it should have. Because the when it first came, the DVD from what Lionsgate was it when the remake came out. There were some little snippets of interviews, but they had to share with people talking about the remake as well, and people interviewed for the remake. And then when Stream Factory did it, like the way they did it is just shit. Like that should have had Michael Felsher or someone else working on it, and a full documentary, edited, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, however long. That would have been much better instead of here's text. And then they ask that question to other people who have no relevance. And what I mean by that is, how the fuck would I know about the guy who's the killer? Like, you're asking a specific question that's meant for one person. I think it was the guy who was the killer. Like, they're asking him, did you know who the killer was? Like, when were you told? How early did you find out? Were you told later? Were you told sooner? I forget I'm bad with names. But then they ask that same question in text. Like, here's the text. Like, these other people, why are you giving... It was such a piss poor... Street Factories sucks nowadays. It does. I mean, there's one fucking release of theirs this year I liked, and it was Watchers 2. And even then, like, there's no features, no commentary, it was limited edition. So even that had, things I could complain about. But I'm glad Watchers 2 got released because I'm a fan of it, but goddamn, man. For fuck's sake. I mean, what other Street Factory stuff been worth a shit in 2022 other, for me, just Watchers 2? But yeah, My Blade Valentine I love, and that's number 6. Number 7, I put Southern Comfort, Walter Hill film. I like it much more than Deliverance. I've never been a fan of Deliverance. I think it's a bit overrated. I think for a good chunk of the film is boring. Especially the third act, I think is rather boring. I don't feel that way in Southern Comfort. The characters are more interesting to me. The fact that they're the military, but then they're doing these maneuvers in Louisiana, and it has a great cast. You got Powers Booth, may he rest in peace. T.K. Carter, who's in John Carpenter's The Thing. Fred Ward, may he rest in peace. Was it Teeth Carradine? I always get that confused because I'm bad with names. I think it's Teeth. Or is it... I keep getting confused with the guy in Revenge of the Nerds. Because he's a Carradine as well. The one who's not in Revenge of the Nerds. The other one. Again, I'm bad with names. Like, you have a really good cast in there. I think even Sonny Landham and Brian James. Got a lot of people who's no longer with us now that I think about it. And I love the atmosphere of the Louisiana swamps. I love the score. Bum 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 doo doo doo. Just love it. But yeah, really enjoy Southern Comfort. I think something goes wrong, and these people are chased by the Louisiana brethren who know the land. It's a great land unless you don't belong. I'm not selling Southern Comfort as well as I should, but definitely worth a look for those who want to check out the trailer and stuff. Number 8, Heavy Metal. Animated film. I think it recently got a 4K. I don't have that one. Love Heavy Metal. Animated anthology. A lot of blood and gore, tits. But I love the soundtrack, the Heavy Metal soundtrack. Sammy Hagar, among others. I love the anthology aspect. A lot of cool, fun stories. John Candy voices. He voices a few of them. Den. That's one of my favorite stories in the whole anthology. I love the style of animation, that early 80s animation. I just really like the look of it. And just a badass movie, Heavy Metal. One way ticket to paradise. Call it heavy metal noise. Yeah, if you've never seen heavy metal and you like R-rated animated stuff, it's easily worth a look. Number 9, Halloween 2, the only good Halloween 2, the 1981 original Halloween 2. Jamie Lee Curtis and her hair, wig, whatever, never bothered me. I love the hospital setting. I love the mood captured in that. I think it has my favorite Halloween score is in that movie. Some of the supporting cast, Leo Rossi and what's his name? The last Starfighter himself. Can't believe I forgot his name. They're in it. Donald Pleasance. I don't know why it felt like he had more to do. Also, it's the only time that Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis shared the same screen together. Because in the first Halloween, there's Donald Pleasance, there's Jamie Lee Curtis, but they never was on the screen together, and that is the only time. Think about that in all the Halloween films that have been made. Because Donald Pleasance sadly passed away around Halloween 6, and Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to come back until, I guess, I need the money. Said they pay me the money, and then if you give me a check, I'll give a shit. But yeah, the only time those two shared a screen together was Halloween 2, which was very cool to see. I like the way Michael Myers is played. I like his look. Was it Dick Warlock? I like the look of the mask in that. I think the ending is satisfying, and it's a final, like, you did not need anymore. Lance Guest, that's the last Starfire. Lance Guest, I remember now. Yes, I know. Why the fuck is it there's only 5 people in this hospital in terms of patients? I don't know why the hospital is so damn lonely. What can I say? I still, I will forgive that because it helped create a nice, creepy mood to it. And they try to amp up a little bit of the blood, which was fine to me. And I liked the first Halloween, but I like Halloween 2 even more. Because I thought it has a fitting, satisfying finale. Like I said, I like that Donald plays Jamie Lee Curtis get to play off at least a little bit for a couple minutes against each other. And because the kills are a little bit more amplified, and like I said, I really like the score in that. The musical score. It's my favorite version of the Halloween theme is the Halloween 2 version of the theme. So yeah, I really enjoy Halloween 2. Number 10, The Road Warrior. Come on, I gotta put The Road Warrior in there. It's Mad Max. It's a great chase sequence at the finale with the semi and the way the camera work is done, showing all the carnage and mayhem, and Mel Gibson with the shotgun shooting through the windshield. Type of movies you did back in the day that give you the testosterone and fucking hair on your balls. Now people just don't have any balls, like James Cameron. They don't have no balls. They didn't. Linda Hamilton took them in the divorce. So people don't have balls anymore. They're afraid to have balls. Well, I'm glad for my balls in my hand right now. Actually, no, they're right here. But I like my balls. Get some hair on them. Shit. And the Road Warrior is the hair on the balls for the 80s. It's the Road Warrior. What more can I say? It's the Road Warrior. Even that title is cool. The Road Warrior. I get why they changed it from Mad Max 2. Because Mad Max was a hit, but not as many people in the U.S. knew about it. But the Road Warrior just sounds the Road Warrior, and it fits. I'm just pissed they killed that dog. I wish they didn't kill that dog. I wish that dog was. I wish they didn't kill that dog off. Just would have been nice, like Mad Max at the end, stand there with his dog, and they walk off and see what happens next. Also nice to see Vernon Wells in there, because he would be the villain in Commando with Arnold, and he's the villain in this. Number 11, Superman 2. I mean, my favorite is the first Superman movie, but I do like Superman 2, and I do not like the Richard Donner cut. I'm sorry. Rest in peace to Richard Donner. I love Lethal Weapon films, and I love the Goonies. I love Superman the movie. I'm not a fan of your cut of Superman 2. I'm sorry. I much prefer the theatrical cut. Yes, I know some silly stuff in there, but there's also some badass stuff like General, would you care to step outside? That's like my favorite Christopher Reeve Superman line, and you cut it out of the Richard Donner cut. And I'm sorry, I don't want the fucking world turning back again. I hated that shit in the first movie. As much as I love the first movie, that's the one thing that bugs the fuck out of me is spinning the world back. Because number one, I'm thinking, well, Superman, I just should be able to do that all the goddamn time. I broke a nail, go around the world. That person got away with the money robbed, go around the world. Go around the world, same song. Also, it just, the way it was done in the end of Superman the movie just was clunky, because Superman went back and the missile wasn't stopped because Lois says things were falling down, but it was stopped because it didn't cave in and she didn't die and get, buried alive. So it's like, so the missile did hit because Lois is talking about, oh, this shit was falling on it and I was driving. And also, Jimmy is there. That means the thing hit and Superman had to save him and put him there. But it didn't hit because the ground doesn't cave in. So did it hit or did it not hit? That's what I mean. No matter how you try to explain it, this bullshit. God, I wish they not. I know, because it wasn't meant to be the ending of that movie. It was supposed to be Superman 1 and 2 back to back, and they do the world thing at the end of the second movie. But I thought that was a stupid idea. This should never have been an idea. Because now you open a whole ball of wax. That if Superman is so powerful to turn the world back, why can't he do that every single time? So now you open up the floodgates of anything bad that happens, doesn't matter. You just... That should never have been an idea in the first place. And I don't like the way some of this stuff... I mean... I'm trying to think the... Superman 2... Oh, I know they wanted more than Marlon Brando. I like that the mom says something in Superman 2, the theatrical cut. Because he did have two parents. Wasn't just Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando gets time to shine in the first. Let the mom have time to shine in the second film. What's so wrong about that? What's so wrong about that? I don't think they should have cut the bit at the end where Superman didn't kill those people, the Kryptonians, because there's a deleted scene where Superman, I think, destroys the Fortress of Solitude, and you see people like arresting Zod in them because they have no powers anymore. So there's like authorities there arresting, and Superman's fine with having authorities there because you don't destroy the Fortress of Solitude. It's time for me to move on. I'm Superman. I'm not going to be tempted to get rid of my powers again because this is my responsibility, and I got to handle it like it is. I don't think they should have cut that out. That's the thing that should have been put in the theatrical cut. I don't even know if it's in the Richard Donner cut, but just that way people are like, oh, why does Superman kill? Well, again, because of editing. Because they cut the scene out, which they should not have. But, I don't know. To me, it's not as bad as fucking Superman kissing Lois in the middle of 9/11 times 11, like Man of Steel boner. Yeah, we did it. I'm gonna kiss you. While the camera pans out and everything is like Skynet destroyed the shit. I could be looking for survivors and see if anyone's out there and everything's fine and dandy and there's someone, buried alive. Nah, I'm gonna kiss Lois here for 5 minutes. Fuck Man of Steel. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's DC movies. If you are, I'll take this instead. Superman 2. Number 12, Bustin' Loose. Fun Richard Pryor film. I do enjoy that. Very early in his movie career. At least, yeah, 80s wise, of course. My favorite is See No Evil, Hear No Evil, but this is definitely my top 5 favorite Richard Pryor movies. He's just very funny. He worked well with, I believe it was Cicely Tyson. It's just a school bus. It's a bus where you're supposed to take these kids who have their issues and problems, but it's not a cookie cutter family film either. Richard Pryor is still able to be a bit blue with his humor, and I thought there was some nice, touching, dramatic moments for Richard Pryor, as well as some very funny moments as he's working with these kids. If you're a Richard Pryor fan, Bustin' Loose is definitely worth a look. And if you don't, some people might not know who Richard Pryor is. Definitely look up his stand-up, Live in the Sunset Strip, Live in Concert, Here and Now. I would say look up See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and Bustin' Loose, and other stuff. Number 13, I put Friday the 13th. I didn't even mean to, I just looked at that now. Yeah, 13 is Friday the 13th, part 2. 13. I didn't even mean to do that on purpose. That was on accident. But Friday the 13th part 2 I liked, and I think it's better than the first one. The first one is okay. I think the sequel is better. Because I think Jason is a bit more formidable threat to me than Mrs. Voorhees. He seemed a bit more of a scarier villain with the hood compared to Mrs. Voorhees. I liked Adrian Barbeau, but not Adrian Barbeau. That's what's the actress's name in the first Friday 13th? Because Adrian Barbeau was in Stephen New York. Adrian Keene. I don't mind Adrian Keene, but I like Amy Steele a lot. Amy Steele's one of my favorites. I like the kills, especially the guy in the wheelchair that gets the fucking machete in the face. Shows that Jason don't give a fuck. And yeah, it seems like more of the same. People get killed one by one. But I don't know, I just thought it went at a bit faster pace. Like I said, I thought the villain was a bit more scarier and intimidating compared to the first. And while I liked Adrian Keene, I thought Amy Steele did a bit of a better job. Bit of a tougher lady. And yeah, I liked a lot of the Friday the 13th films. Really, the only one I hate is Part 8. But all the other Friday the 13th films I like or love. So, Friday the 13th Part 2 definitely got to put down the list. Number 14, the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only with Roger Moore. I remember when I did this marathon, I was watching all these James Bond films. A lot of them I had never seen before. When I got to For Your Eyes Only, I'm like, okay, Roger Moore, I'm enjoying. I love The Spy Who Loved Me. I like Live and Let Die. Could not get into The Man with the Golden Gun. You tell some of the stuff a bit campier, like what was the Outer Space Moon one? Moonraker. Definitely campy. But this is like the most serious Roger Moore movie, and that was kind of refreshing. Like, this is a James Bond film you just see Timothy Dalton doing. Or even, Sean Connery or a bit of Daniel Craig. Like, this is definitely more of a serious Roger Moore, and that was a bit refreshing. And if it's the one I'm thinking of, is that the one that begins with the helicopter as Blofeld and it tried to kill James Bond, but then James Bond's able to overtake the helicopter, grab Blofeld, and dump his ass in the smokestack? Is that the For Your Eyes Only, or is that another? I see. It's been a while since I've seen those. Like it's been at least, fuck, it might have been 10 years or so since I've seen those, or close. So I could get that absolutely fucking wrong. But I do remember liking some of the action scenes. Like there's a cool badass bit where there's a bad guy in a car, and Roger Moore kicks it, and the whole car goes off the cliff. I like seeing the actor. Oh, what's his name? It's a one-word name. Toto or because I'm like, oh, that's the guy from Flash Gordon from 1980. It was nice to see him in another movie. He played Dr. Zarkov. I forget the Topol. It was Topol? Not Topol. It's with a T, I think. See, I told you I was bad with names. It's me getting older. It's getting more senile in my age. But yeah, I do remember quite liking For Your Eyes Only, and being one of my favorite. My favorite Roger Moore still is The Spy Who Loved Me, but I think For Your Eyes Only is probably my second favorite Roger Moore one, and then Live and Let Die I would say is third. And then number 15 I put The Cannonball Run, because it's Burt Reynolds. Rest in peace to Burt. And that was a movie that is there for the stunts, the action, the. And you know what? Did a bunch of stars from Dean Martin to even Jackie Chan early on in his career to, of course, Burt Reynolds. Like, getting all these people together and doing a lot of stunts, goofy fun, popcorn entertainment, escapism. Cannonball. Yeah, Roger Moore. Speaking of Roger Moore, he was in this. I would like to see a movie like that today. If someone said, we're going to strictly do this practical, we're strictly going to do this practical, stunt work, exciting stunt action, car chase, car flips, car explosions, all that stuff, cross country type of thing, type of journey, and get all these actors together. They tried to do it with a Rat Race, and Rat Race I didn't mind for what it was, but that's why I'm surprised they haven't done a remake of Cannonball Run. I'm surprised by that. And I know these films were not really the most highly regarded of movies, but I think they brought the audience entertainment just to escape and enjoy. And it's been a while since I've seen Cannonball Run, but I do remember quite enjoying it, which is why I put it on the list here. Now, of course, that's not every 1981 film that I enjoyed. I mean, like The Burning I didn't mind, and was it The Student Bodies was that year I didn't mind. And there's other movies too, American Wolf in London, but these are definitely my top 15. So with that said, thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you guys later.